Hello there.
Hello there.
Welcome back to another episode of Star Wars in a Galaxy, watching all Star Wars we can get our hands on. I'm Eli.
I'm Jacob.
And today we got a special episode for you guys. So we're going to be, for y'all. So here's the thing. We don't usually think of ourselves on Star Wars in a Galaxy as a news podcast. There are lots of other great podcasts that do that, and we're just not interested in doing that. No shade to anybody else who does. That's just not our thing. But when you have Star Wars Celebration Europe this weekend drop, maybe, and as I described to Jacob a few minutes ago before we started recording, as in my opinion, the biggest Star Wars news drop of a single day in 3 years. And the last time was Disney Plus Investor Day, which we also did an episode on this show about. I feel like you can't not cover what we got, because this is Star Wars. I think probably like what we got revealed at Celebration is probably going to take care of Star Wars comfortably through 2026 or 2027. It certainly won't be the only thing, and I'm sure more things will be announced, but we have the broad landscaping for Star Wars of the next 5 years. I'm pretty confident about. And that's huge.
We got a lot of stuff announced.
That's huge. That's enormous. And so how Jacob and I are doing this, we both took some notes. I took quite a few notes about major stuff that was revealed. We're recording this, so this is coming out the Friday after Celebration. We're recording this in the middle of Sunday, Pacific time. That's the other thing, is that the British time messes it all up because it's like 10 p.m. in Britain right now. And obviously the convention isn't happening. But so we were covering all the things from the first 3 days of Celebration. There's probably going to be some more stuff on the final day tomorrow, which is Monday. And I'm going to just put it out of the way. Jacob, how excited are you for Bad Batch Season 3?
I'm very excited. I thought season two was pretty spectacular.
Again, that hasn't been announced, but there's a Bad Batch panel on Monday, and that's like the only significant piece of news I expect to be announced tomorrow. I just wanted to cover our bases with that. We are either going to be proven right or horribly wrong, and I don't see how we'd be proven wrong, because that's like honestly the thing I was most expecting from this celebration is Bad Batch Season 3.
I mean, fingers crossed. Fingers
crossed.
Season 2 was a phenomenal leap.
Oh, absolutely.
I was really jazzed about it. I know a lot of people really pumped about it. So I'm excited for Season 3. I'm wondering what direction they're going to go, and they have a lot of possibilities.
They do have quite a few possibilities. I'm very excited. I'm excited for what Corbett and Rao and the team are going to be doing. I find it so, and the other thing is, I find it so unlikely because animation takes a long time to develop at Lucasfilm. I just know this. It takes quite a while, like often sometimes as long or longer than the live action shows. So not only do I think they're going to announce it tomorrow, or what will have been tomorrow, again, we're recording this on Sunday, but not only will this be announced tomorrow, I think they're working on it right now. That's how confident I am that it's happening.
I wouldn't be surprised at all.
But let's get to the stuff that was actually revealed during the days that we recorded this. So Friday morning, I woke up because, again, I'm on the west coast of the U.S. and Jacob's on the east coast, so he probably would have woken up to this too, because all this happened when it was like 4 a.m. for me here. I woke up to an eruption on Star Wars Twitter. That's the only way to describe it. It was a fucking eruption. And this eruption was due to the Lucasfilm Studio Showcase, which is basically now, it got introduced in Anaheim last year, which Jacob and I had been to, but we weren't there that day. Basically, Lucasfilm Studio Showcase is basically like, okay, we're going to give you all of the major news in this one panel. And they did that. They definitely did that. They definitely gave us all of the major news. All of it. So I'm going to go in loose chronological order, starting with, I feel like we got to start with the thing that we've gotten the most information about. And by the way, certain things about certain things were announced on different days, and I want to cover them as they came out, not as like, so I might like cut you off with Jacob if you talk about a certain thing with certain projects because it wasn't announced till day 2. There were a few things like that.
Okay.
But I think we should talk about the show that we've been here, that this convention has been used to hype the most, which is Ahsoka.
Oh yeah, of course.
We got our first teaser trailer for Ahsoka. That was the big highlight. Actual content wise, actual like what we can see wise. And we're not going to do a full breakdown of the trailer. We'll obviously include a link to a description. I was watching the Bombad cast that morning as they were the trailer. It was extremely fun to see their reactions to stuff. But obviously some of the highlights is, and Jacob, I was a little reluctant when you were saying this before when we were talking about Ahsoka, but you kept pushing this, and I think in a major way you are right. But this is in large part season 5 live action of Star Wars Rebels.
I don't recall saying that idea in particular. I don't recall saying that, but I am thrilled to see the characters from Rebels back. I'm thrilled to see Sabine. I'm thrilled to see Hera. I'm thrilled to see Chopper, the whole gang.
Yeah.
We got the announcement as well. Can I talk about it?
That's not till day 2, I think. I think that's not
okay,
until day
well,
2. We saw the back of Thrawn's head in the trailer.
We saw the back of Thrawn's head. We know who is playing Thrawn. That's all very exciting as well.
But we'll talk about that. That was revealed day 2. That was revealed yesterday, not Friday. But what we can talk about is live action Sabine Wren, Natasha Lubordizzo, Harrison Dula, Mary Elizabeth Winstead, Phantom 2, C-110P, Hu Yang, David Tennant voiced Hu Yang. And of course, we saw our hologram of our precious boy, Ezra Bridger, played by Imanes Fondi. And yeah, there's no way to say it other than we are getting a live action continuation of a story that was ended 5 years ago. It's been 5 years now since the end of Star Wars Rebels. I think it's like 5 years in a month or something. I think it ended in March of 2018.
March, April, May, sometime around that. It's been a long 5 years. It's been a long 5 years. Think about how much in Star Wars has changed in that time.
Absolutely.
It's pretty incredible. So I'm so excited to see these characters back, to see the story continued. It left us on such a big cliffhanger, but we've had so much that's been filled in since then. I'm honestly curious about how they're going to approach it. There's so much more scaffolding now.
Yeah, what I'm actually really excited about this show, and this is specifically me, and I don't know why I'm. Again, if it had happened this way, if it had happened the other way, I wouldn't have minded. But I like that this story is not only the Rebels sequel. It's a very important story to tell, but that's not all this is.
Oh yeah, absolutely not. I think it's clearly Ahsoka's show. Then obviously in the trailer, we saw what we saw. We saw, at least for now, how they're framing it. And I think it given that it's a live action show, especially, I like the approach. This is a very Rebels centric way of talking about it, but I am a massive Rebels fan. I like the approach of, it's a live action show. It could be seen as, oh, this is the Rebels follow-up show that certain people have been begging for since the minute that Rebels closed up shop. But I think that the early signs are promising that it's not going to be primarily about that, and they're going to be worked into the story, hopefully.
And
obviously,
I think a major part of that
story
will be about that. Absolutely. But, we have those characters, those 2 new characters, which we might as well get into talking about now. Baylan Skoll and Shin Hati, played by Ray. Baylan Skoll is Ray Stevenson's character's name, and Shin Hati is Ivana Sockno's character's name. They are, and I haven't looked into these sources, so I might edit this out if I proved it wrong. I saw this on the Wikipedia article, so again, not sure if what sources they verified for this, but from what I've heard, Baylan is an ex-Jedi. He survived Order 66, and he fled to the unknown regions. And while he was there, he fell to the dark side. That's what I've heard.
Oh, okay.
And of course, so did his apprentice, Shin.
Yeah.
Obviously, as many people have noticed, their lightsabers aren't really the red we know from Star Wars.
Yeah, they're different. They look different. I think it remains to be seen, though. Is that
they're like an orange
artistic
tint? Oh no, Dave confirmed.
Yeah, is that an artistic
there was an interview
choice?
with Dave
he confirmed
where
that it's a different color.
It's a different color, and that was intentional.
Oh really? Oh, that's so exciting. That's so
Dave
exciting.
confirmed that it was a intentionally different color to like that they're not quite Sith.
Oh, okay. That's very exciting. And then obviously we have Ahsoka and her signature white lightsabers. This is
Yeah.
gonna be the show of unconventional lightsaber colors, I guess.
Oh, absolutely. The other shot I want to talk about because I'm very excited. Because I remember sharing this with the Bombad Cast people on that stream when that happened, which is we saw and I heard rumblings of this, but I didn't think it was actually going to happen. But Genevieve O'Reilly is going to be in Ahsoka as Chancellor Mon Mothma, which is
And she was so
incredible.
that's great. She was so good in Andor, and now we're gonna see her on the other side,
Yeah.
trying to build the new Republic. That's phenomenal. That's
So
phenomenal.
and I don't know if you noticed this was revealed in like a still that had some of the characters identified. The the man to her right. It was a senatorial delegation from the New Republic that we saw in the holograms. The man to her right, the hologram to her right, played by a guy named Nelson Lee, is a man named Hamato Ziono.
Otto Zioda. Okay.
He's the senator for the planet Hosnian Prime, and he and his wife would later give birth to a son they named Kazuda Ziono.
Oh wow. Wait, seriously?
I'm not joking. This is not a joke.
Kaz's.
This
Oh
is
my gosh.
Kaz's father is in live action.
I guess
Yeah.
they're saying, hey,
Should have watched Resistance
should have
now,
watched Resistance if you
which is
didn't.
not the move I
That's
expected them to make in
nice.
a million years, but I love it. I love
That's
it, and I
nice
love it that they're acknowledging Resistance.
that's nice to tie it into Resistance.
Yeah.
The sequel era hasn't gotten the most love in the past couple of years. I think after the trilogy concluded, they're giving it a little bit of time to settle. But obviously, as we've seen, as we're going to talk about, there is still much in the works, which is exciting. So yeah, any other thoughts on Ahsoka, or do you want to move on to the next big part of this?
Only that I think I'm so incredibly likely to fucking adore this show, and I'm so excited for it. I think this show is onto something truly special. This show, I think, means a lot to me because of Dave and his he has completed, in my mind, a hero's journey arc that's not so different from the characters he's writing. He started out with
Really?
he started out with animation, and George trusted him with the legacy of the saga basically at the time. And then he carried on to Disney, and he kept making sure that they stayed, faithful to the lore and stuff like that. And not that Disney had any malintent. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that, he was the one at Lucasfilm who knew of George's intent more than anyone else,
That's
and
true. That's fair.
of how George wrote more than anyone else. And then he was and then he met and then he shadowed JJ and Ryan on Force Awakens and TLJ. We know this so that to learn more about live action, so that when it came time for The Mandalorian, which he eventually got a decent position on, he directed a few episodes, and he was John's number two, but it wasn't until season two that they started bringing in people like Bo-Katan and Ahsoka that were characters he created for animation into live action. And now this is the apotheosis of that, where he is directing and
Yeah.
directing a few episodes of and writing the entirety of a live action show about characters he created for animation. Like that's a
Yeah.
fucking hero's journey right there, and I'm so excited to see like the climax of that, the ending of that, where Dave gets to be the fully realized Star Wars creator that George thought he could be. And also it
Oh
just
yeah.
looks like a really freaking great show, and I'm so excited for all these characters. And going into Ahsoka as the main character means weird force shit to the max, and you know how much I love that. So yeah,
Yeah.
nothing but good
I,
things to
I'm
say
I
about this show.
You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. This does feel like, in many ways, the apotheosis of Dave Filoni's career with Lucasfilm, with Star Wars. Going all the way back to 2008, Clone Wars, as you said. And what a journey! What a journey it's been. Really terrific. What he's brought so much to the Star Wars universe. I don't think it would be a stretch to say, in terms of people who are, at least in terms of people who are primarily creatively involved in Star Wars, and not just from an executive standpoint, but he might be the most influential person for Star Wars in the past what, yeah, 15
Yeah.
years. I think, if like, what would Star Wars look like today without him?
Yeah,
It would be so different.
It would be
So
extremely different, and like
yes.
that's the other thing is that like there's only really been one show, and I'm actually glad that this is changing now a little bit, and not because I hate Dave, because I think we need a bigger collection of voices in the Star Wars storytelling space. But really, up to this point, there's been one show that has been kind of away from Dave's like vision, I guess you could say, and that's Andor.
Yeah.
Even Kenobi, which didn't have anything to do with him, they still used his characters. They still did the things. Um, and
Yeah. Yeah.
and Bad Batch is very much him playing the George role that George did him when he was on Clone Wars. But now he's
Yeah.
passing it down to Corbett, and so I think he's texting time to time with them, but I don't think he's controlling everything they do or anything. But yeah, when it comes to the main theatrical Star Wars stuff that they're doing, the main on-screen Star Wars stuff they're doing, Dave is one of the most integral parts of how they do it, and I'm so glad that he's getting rewarded for that.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely agree.
Yeah, but I'm just so excited. Also, by the way, can we talk about Ahsoka saying that Thrawn is back as heir to the Empire? Very
Yeah.
funny, Dave. Very funny.
Very
We
funny.
all see you.
Yeah.
Again, a lot of these sentiments I've seen online, like these are not like I just really want to, because like I remember when I saw the trailer first and I heard as heir to the Empire, I'm like, all right, so we're doing it this way now. Okay, I see how we're doing this. I see where we're going. Like, and I'm like, okay, next you're gonna tell me there's a dark force rising, and we have to get rid of Thrawn's last command or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I'm super excited about Ahsoka. What are your thoughts about Ahsoka?
I haven't been too thrilled so far with how Star Wars has brought live action, or how they have brought, animation first characters into live action. I haven't been the most thrilled with some of the execution. That being said, I'm still very excited to see what they have cooking up. And I am a little sad that Taya Sircar, the actress who voiced Sabine in Rebels, did not get a chance to play her in live action, because around last Celebration, actually, we saw she had kind of a poignant goodbye to Star Wars, to Rebels, on Twitter, and I really think that she could have done a good job. But nevertheless, the show rolls on, and I'm very, very excited to see what will become
I actually tend to agree with you
of the
about
Rebels
the.
characters in this next chapter. Yeah,
I tend to agree with you about Tia. I think she could do it as well. Though I don't like, but they picked Natasha Liu Bordizzo for a reason,
they
and
did. Yeah,
I have confidence that like Dave's in charge of this entire thing. I know technically it says the executive producers John and Dave. I want to know. I really want to know exactly how much involvement Jon Favreau has with this show. I really do.
yeah,
And I don't mean that as an insult. He has plenty of other things to be doing right now. He's in charge of Mando. He's probably very focused on Skeleton Crew as well. But this is
yeah.
Dave's show. They didn't just pick Natasha Liu Bordizzo without like Dave
Yeah.
saying,
I'm
this is
sure.
the one.
Yeah, I'm sure she'll do a fantastic job. Yeah, I'm sure she will.
All right. We're going in a bit of weird chronological order for the panel. Not exactly, but whatever. There was a lot. But I think we should but after we do the Ahsoka, I think we should go next with the big one. The elephant in the room. Everybody, I want you to get out your Count Von Count finger hands. 1 Star Wars film. 2 Star Wars film. 3 Star Wars film. 3 Star Wars films announced officially at the studio showcase. Wow. I thought we were going to get announcements for films. I didn't think it was going to be 3. I thought 1, maybe 2 if we were lucky.
Yeah, it's pretty exciting. It's pretty exciting, especially we got to talk about, I think.
I feel like we got to build up to them. I feel like because the order they announced, I feel like were especially important. The first one announced was directed by Logan and Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. That's the 2 movies they put on his resume specifically for this one. James Mangold is directing a movie about the dawn of the Jedi. First Jedi.
I'm so excited for this one.
This one is going to be. Here's the thing. first of all, we know that David Benioff and D.B. Weiss, the Game of Thrones creators, that's what they were supposed to be doing when they were doing their Star Wars like trilogy or whatever it was. I don't know what form their project was looking at taking, but when they were doing their Star Wars project, that was what it was supposed to be. And it does seem like one of the most obvious places to go for a Star Wars story, which doesn't mean I hate it by any stretch of the imagination. I don't. I think this is a fantastic idea. And I like it like I knew we were going to get it some way, and I think that, you know, a lot's gonna come down to, because I'm not a huge fan, like not I'm not huge into James Mangold's work. I haven't seen a lot of it. It's gonna come down to a lot about how I feel about Dial of Destiny, which it looks great so far. We got another trailer actually at the studio showcase. I didn't write that down because it's not specifically Star Wars. I'll just say that based on that new trailer and based on everything I've seen, I'm very excited for the Dial of Destiny, and I'm hoping it wraps up that saga in a fun and classic way. I'm not somebody who particularly likes Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, although I don't hate it as much as some people do. But yeah, but I'll read a quote from Mangold about this. I thought about a biblical epic, like a Ten Commandments about the dawning of the Force. Where did the Force come from? When did we discover it? When did we learn how to use it? This is like the meta philosophical shit that I think if handled well could be some of the most introspective, most interesting, most deep Star Wars media we've seen in years.
Yeah, I'm this one is gonna be very, very interesting. I hope we get some serious deep looks into the Force. I hope we get some Tython action, maybe
Ooh,
some deep
Tython.
core, maybe the first lightsaber. I don't
Osis. Oh,
know.
first lightsaber.
Osis,
Yeah.
yeah, Osis.
Oh, I can already feel it. I can already fucking
oh
feel it.
gosh. Yeah,
The
I'm
first
this would be
pilgrimage to
really
Ilum.
cool. I
Oh
mean,
my god.
yeah, Ilum, depending on how what they keep from
Yeah.
legends, like the old
Yeah.
the clan wars with the pre lightsabers with the force blades. Oh my
But we
gosh.
do know
There's a
actually
lot of potential with this one.
we do know that this takes place 25,000 years before the Skywalker saga, which is
Damn,
around the
they're
time
going far.
the Dawn of the Jedi comic series, which depicted these exact like events, took place
Is
in
that
Legends.
canon or legends?
Legends. There were a few I think Legends books or comics, I forget exactly, but they were called Dawn of the Jedi, and they literally took place 25,000 years before the at the time 6 movie saga. So
Yeah.
that part, at least the
Is that
timeline part,
around the
seems mirrored for Legends.
is that around the time of the Genesis of the Republic, or when did that happen?
I
Because how does that
don't
fit in?
know.
That's
I
got to
think
fit
that
into this somehow. If it's this,
the details are very
if it's
hazy
that
about all of
early,
the films. Actually,
I can't help but wonder: are they going to address? In Legends, obviously, we have the Rakatan Infinite Empire. Are they gonna address that? There's a lot of theories in Legends about why are so many planets all inhabitable? Why are they all breathable with the same atmosphere? Things like that point to the Rakatan Infinite Empire. So I'm wondering, are they going to make reference to any of that, or is it going to be wiped away? That
yeah,
I'm
I don't.
very interested. That's something
I
that I'm
don't know.
wondering.
They're all good questions to ask. I wonder how. Because Mangold could take this in literally any direction he wanted to.
Oh yeah,
Like
absolutely. I think
this one seems like the most open ended of all 3 of them.
there's no tie-in. There's no tie-in restraints. There's no there is not gonna have to work in any existing characters. Clearly,
Well, he might
um,
have to work in one, but even that one is very flexible depending on how he wants to do it. Which is
where would it be the Bendu or
they unveiled an eras map of
yeah, I saw that.
and the iconography for the Dawn of the Jedi era is a man known as the Prime Jedi, who
Oh, I'm
we've
not familiar.
who we've seen. We haven't actually seen the character, but we know, but and we haven't seen the character in the flesh or alive, but they're symbolic, like the symbolic representation of the Prime Jedi. We don't know if they're real or just like a representation of what the Jedi used to be back in their earliest days. But
Oh, I see.
a collage of that person was carved into Luke's Jedi temple. Not Luke's Jedi. It was carved into the Octo Jedi temple, where Luke was hiding out in The Last Jedi. And this was all explained into The Last Jedi Visual Dictionary specifically. We don't, again, the details about this person were left so vague and so like, we don't even know if this person actually exists or if it's just like a fabled thing, like, oh, legends tell of this prime Jedi who existed, and blah, blah, blah. We don't even know that. So Mangold has a lot of room to play with that. Plus, who's ever writing this movie? Because we don't know that either. No, that's gonna be fucking crazy, and I'm so excited to see it.
Yeah, no, it's gonna be sick. I can't wait. That one's gonna be sick.
Let's go to the second one. Budding a final film culminating the Mandoverse, directed by Mr. Dave Filoni. Dave directing a live action film is it sounds like a fucking Mad Lib. Like, I never would have imagined, and I'm so glad he gets this opportunity again. I am someone who's very positive overall on Dave, and I think he has earned this. And I think that, like, I don't think I would have thought that he would have been the one they tasked to direct. I thought Rick Famuyiwa or maybe Bryce Dallas Howard would be the one they tasked to direct, but they tasked Dave with this, which means they really trust his directing now, which I know there were some early criticisms of his live action direction, which were completely fair because I wasn't a huge fan of the first episode he directed and wrote of The Mandalorian. But
yeah, remind me, which episode was his debut for live action?
Gunslinger. The Gunslinger.
Gunslinger. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But his second episode was The Jedi, so, you know. Oh, well, actually, I shouldn't say that. I don't think you like The Jedi as much as I do.
I like it fine. I like it fine.
Yeah.
It's a great episode.
Okay, but the culmination of the Mandoverse, the culmination of Mando, Book of Boba Fett, Ahsoka, Skeleton Crew, we presume, all of that in a film directed by Dave Filoni.
And when is it slated?
We don't know any of these when any of these are slated for.
Oh, okay. So that's interesting then, because we don't know exactly how much more of the Mandalorian are we going to get. Is season 3? Now, I haven't been keeping up too much with the news. Is season 3 going to be the last season? Are we going to get more?
I don't think season 3 is going to be last season. I don't think season 3 is going to be the last season. I'm not sure. Again, a lot of it's up in the air, but I've heard whisperings of season 4 going around. Like, I've heard like Dave and John kind of talking a little bit about season 4. I think there's going to be at least season 4 of The Mandalorian, and
that would make sense.
And I think they might fit another season in there, other than Skeleton Crew 1 and Ahsoka 1. I think there might be something else in there. Maybe a Book of Boba Fett 2, maybe Ahsoka 2. I don't know. Yeah, again, we don't know when this is happening, but we do know that it's happening, and Dave is directing the film, which I think is a laudable choice.
It's gonna be very interesting for sure.
It's gonna be very interesting,
especially since, I mean, Rick Famuyiwa did confirm that the Mandalorian, like, the title no longer refers to just Din. It's no longer Din's no longer considered to be the only main character, so it's not just Din Djarin and Grogu anymore. So I guess that might point to another season where we see more branching out, potentially more Bo-Katan. I would guess maybe they bring back Boba Fett, but probably not. I would bet on Bo-Katan more.
I think we're gonna get more of Boba Fett. I really do think we're gonna get more of Boba Fett in some way. Whether that's
in the Mandalorian.
In the Mandalorian, I'm not sure. Again, depends on where they take it.
I would feel more confident betting on a second season of Book of Boba Fett. Maybe.
So would I, but you
or
never
maybe
know.
Not. I don't know.
Yeah, but you never know. I'm not saying I'm confident to predict anything. And then we have the biggest announcement of all three of them. Sharmeen Obaid-Chinoy, director of some Academy Award-winning documentary features, as well as a few episodes of Ms. Marvel, is directing a Star Wars film about the new Jedi Order 15 years after the events of the Rise of Skywalker. And then she brought on Sharmeen Obaid-Chinoy took to the stage and she said, "I'm going to introduce you to our Jedi Master." And she brought on Daisy Ridley. Rey Skywalker is returning.
Oh boy, this is going to be quite something. This is going to be quite something.
Sobbing. I was sobbing.
You were hyped.
This is like, I can't imagine what how much this is going to mean to all of the sequel fans out there. I know it was a divisive trilogy, and I know like it's still pretty. Honestly, I'm surprised they're doing this so soon. But
I mean, I think it's going to be a few more years
yeah, but still,
anything comes of it. So I think
it's only been 4 years since Trust. No, it hasn't. It's been a little over 3. It's been a little over 3. Yeah,
yeah, okay.
And I think that am I a bit afraid of the discourse coming back around the sequels and stuff like that? Have I already seen people talking about bringing Ben Solo back and all that kind of stuff? Yeah, these are conversations I've seen, and I have my opinions on them, and I'm sure other people have theirs, and I'm not here to judge anyone's opinions about them. But if this really does happen, if Rey comes back as a Jedi Master, and this is a big sticking point for me and a lot of fans as well, and I can't imagine they wouldn't do this if Finn is a Jedi Knight by her side. If John Boyega comes back, and Finn is a Jedi Knight by her side, then this could be something truly special for me.
Yeah, I mean, as far as what you said about discourse, I think at this point, I think we've all learned our lesson. I've learned my lesson, which is
I think some of us have learned our lesson.
Just avoid it. It's my main take on getting into the weeds on the internet, talking to people, face to face, over the podcast, that's one thing. But getting in the weeds with people on the internet, it's just not worth it. It's just not worth it.
This explains, by the way, the total dichotomy of our podcast, because Jacob and I are completely different on this aspect, and I, depending on the mood, like to get into it with people sometimes. And I'm not saying that Jacob's opinion is bad by any stretch of the imagination. No, I'm just saying we have different styles of doing things.
Yeah. I don't do Twitter. I don't do Reddit. I barely do YouTube comments.
Yeah,
dude, I mean, I can't even say discourse because I haven't even seen it, but I've seen like even just on YouTube, I've seen some pretty questionable takes about the latest episode of The Mandalorian, for example.
So have I. Trust me, all the takes, they've been there. And
everyone's just got an accident.
But anyway, but this film is brimming with potential. I can feel it. I'm so excited that Rey is going to be directed by a woman. This is the first woman to ever direct a Star Wars film. This is the first person of color to ever direct a Star Wars film. And I think those are both things that are long overdue for this saga. And I think that this has the potential to be like something really great and propel Star Wars films into an age post, both chronologically in universe and out of universe, Skywalker saga. Yeah, I guess
I'm very excited. I think I have a lot of issues with the sequels. They're not my favorite. That being said, the one thing I could never find fault with is the actors and the actresses and their performances. And Daisy Ridley put on one hell of a performance in those movies, and I think she always brought her A game. So I'm pretty thrilled to see her back. She's gonna be doing her thing again as an older Rey. I really hope we could get John Boyega back. Maybe even Oscar Isaac's doing some Poe.
Yeah. I think all three of them.
Rose.
Yeah. Rose, great. For me, all of the other, and not to be offensive to any of those other characters, because I love all of the characters of the sequel trilogy. Poe, Rose, Janna, any of those characters are icing on the cake for me, on the cherry on top.
So for you, you're just thrilled. You're just so thrilled to have Rey back. That's fair.
If it's just Daisy and John's all I need. Daisy and John's all I need. Like I think John is as critical as Daisy, honestly.
Is anything confirmed?
No, we don't know, but
yet, because
we don't know.
He's given some interviews where he's been pretty ambivalent.
He's said
he wants
kind
to come
of
back, so
both ways, but I just don't know. The answer is I just don't know.
Yeah, well,
but
regardless, it's got a ton of potential.
If John doesn't come back, it's not for lack of trying. That's the thing. Like, I seriously doubt that
I'm
Lucasfilm
sure.
is
Yeah.
just not going to ask him.
Yeah. That would be weird. Yeah.
That'd be really strange. But yeah, now we get to, and that was at the end of the studio showcase, but now we get to the beginning of the studio showcase, which was a bunch of footage that, of course, Jacob and I, neither of us were at Celebration, so we didn't see any of this footage. We just have secondhand descriptions of most of this footage for shows that were announced. First one, I want to get this out of the way because this one we can't really talk about because we don't really know anything. Andor Season 2. They're filming Andor Season 2 right now. They showed some footage, but like the most bare bone footage of anything they showed, because again, it's still filming right now. And obviously, Gilroy and Luna were both at Celebration, and they've talked a little bit about Season 2 of Andor, as well as some other actors from Andor, Genevieve O'Reilly, Adria Arjona, Vinny Scoff, and Kyle Solar, as well as some others, I'm sure. I heard that Cassian was running around in a suit, like a very nice looking suit at one of like what looked like what might be one of Mon's dinner parties. But like that's all I've heard about it. We really just can't say at this point.
Yeah. I mean, I'm very excited for whatever happens with season 2. You know, I've made it clear how I feel about season 1 of Andor. Personally, for me, it was by far my favorite live action Star Wars thing that Disney has produced. So I'm really excited to get more of that, hopefully, and have that open more doors for Star Wars.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm excited for Andor Season 2, not as much as some other things on here, though that doesn't mean I'm not excited about it. It just means there's other stuff on here. Speaking of other stuff on here, I want to talk about this one because this show has gotten the most coverage other than Ahsoka at Celebration. Let's talk about The Acolyte.
Oh, the Acolyte. Oh yeah. Oh
They
yeah.
were
What do you
shown
think? Because
a
I think this is one.
trailer, and I've seen a leaked version of the trailer, and here's what I've written down. So the weirdest headline that's been inspired by this one, which I just love, and I think this is going to be, and like every again, I'm very reiterate. I've just said this a few times on the show. I think every time Leslie Headland is given the opportunity to talk more about the Acolyte, I like how she views Star Wars more and more each time. She pitched this show apparently as Frozen meets Kill Bill, which is
I read that as well.
maybe one of the weirdest combinations I've ever heard, but I kind of dig it.
Don't knock it till you try it.
But I kind of dig it. I really do. Yeah, I think it's a really interesting approach. It's very martial arts inspired. That's what I keep hearing. Very martial arts, very samurai, very back to those roots of the proto Star Wars stuff. It is there's a quote that seemed of great importance to those who watched the trailer. The quote that stood out to many people who saw the trailer was, "It's about power and who uses it." That's a lot of the general stuff. We can get into the specifics, but afterwards. But that's a lot of general stuff about the show. Do you want me to just get into the specifics of the show?
Yeah. What do you? I have not. I
So,
have not
so it
heard a lot
opens
about
with
this one.
a
So
Jedi Master played by Lee Jung Jae, who's one of the top build people in the cast,
okay.
talking about teaching younglings about the Force and about obeying the power of the Force and how you should trust your instincts. It sounds very similar to Obi-Wan's dialogue to Luke in New Hope. Of course, we know that this takes place at the end of the High Republic era. In fact, the first thing that Headland said when she entered the panel for the Acolyte, or for the studio showcase for the Acolyte section, was "For Light and Life," which is the slogan of the Republic during the High Republic era.
Yeah.
Carrie-Anne Moss is playing a Jedi Master who's apparently seen fighting the main character played by Amanda Stenberg, who I think is probably the titular Acolyte, though we don't know. And of course, this is a cool thing. Actually, I'll do this one too. The final shot of the trailer was apparently about a half dozen, maybe a few more Jedi igniting their lightsabers, all of different colors. The most
Exciting.
lightsabers we've seen ignited on screen since like Revenge of the Sith.
Oh damn.
And then we get to the final stuff, which is apparently 4 episodes of The Acolyte have been fully completed. And we know this because Kathleen Kennedy says she's seen them. So
perfect.
I don't know how many episodes it's going to be. It's scheduled for release. I think it's going to be the first Star Wars thing released in 2024. So I don't know how many episodes it's going to be, but 4 of them are completely done, apparently.
That is exciting.
And then finally, Jonas Swatomo is returning to Star Wars. Played Chewbacca, took over for Peter Mayhew in the sequel trilogy and Solo, and he is playing a Wookiee Jedi Master named Kelnaka.
You always love to see a Wookiee Jedi. You always love
Yep.
to see a Wookiee Jedi.
And
Nothing wrong with
it's nice
that.
that Ewan is back. Yeah, that's all the notes I have for what we know about what we heard about the Acolyte on day one. We heard a few more things about the Acolyte and Ahsoka both on day two, which we'll talk about when we get to it. But what are your impressions on all of that?
I don't know. I just want to see. I just want to sit back and see where it goes. You know, I'm very excited. I'm very excited for however it turns out. I think Kathleen Kennedy saying she's already seen 4 of the episodes kind of ups my excitement because I hadn't realized we were at that stage, I guess, in its creation. So that's very exciting.
Yeah,
And
this
yeah,
one's been
I mean the
specifically been in
trailer,
development for quite a
the
while.
footage sounds great. I guess it has because it was announced. Was it
It was
announced
announced a
at the Investor
long.
Day or the
It was announced at the Investor Day. Yeah, it was announced at the Investor Day.
man? I thought there was something before. Okay, yeah, yeah. Okay, Investor Day. That makes
Yeah,
sense.
it was announced at Investor Day. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, but we knew that Leslie Henlin was working on a Star Wars project way before that.
No, that's right. Yeah, that's right. So it could have been in the works for. Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, it's been in the works for quite a while. What was I gonna say? But yeah, so that's that. Now we get to before we get to the final thing, I want to actually take a pivot, and I want to talk about another Star Wars show, The Mandalorian. So Jacob, depending on how much you want to know about this stuff, because here's the thing: at Celebration, very much like Obi-Wan Kenobi, but a little different in one regard. At Celebration, people who went to the studio showcase were given tickets to an early screening of Chapter 23 of The Mandalorian.
Oh, I will. You know, since I'm already kind of a bit out of the loop this celebration cycle, I will politely decline to hear any spoilers since I would like to
Okay,
see the episode
I
when it
all
comes
I will
out. It's a little
say,
midweek treat.
I haven't seen that many spoilers. I know what happens in the episode through the cold open. I know what happens in the cold open, and that's it. I know the title and end of the cold open. There's some pretty cool. Again, not going to spoil anything. And just generally from people who saw the first episode of that episode, I've heard they loved it. I've heard they think it's very good, and I'm excited to see it come this Wednesday. That's all I'll say about this, I guess, for now. By the time we release this, it will have already been out. So there's that. I won't tell you the other details. So let's get to the last thing revealed in the studio showcase: Skeleton Crew. An exclusive trailer / teaser was released for those in the room, and people have described some of the stuff. Apparently, Jude Law's character, who we know is Jude Law is gonna be in Skeleton Crew for I think almost a year now. Jude Law's character is Force sensitive. One of the kids asks if he's a Jedi. We don't see the answer to that, but Jude Law's character is Force sensitive.
That's also very interesting. We have Bryce Dallas Howard coming back as one of the directors.
Yeah, so let's get to the directors now. The directors for Skeleton Crew have been revealed as John Watts, David Lowery, the Daniels, Jake Schreier, Bryce Dallas Howard, and Lee Isaac Chung. A very eclectic mix. And I'm excited to see all of their takes on Star Wars, especially the Daniels, who just, of course, recently came off of Everything Everywhere All at Once. David Lowery did that film, The Green Knight, that came out a few years ago. John Watts is obviously from the Star Wars, from the Spider-Man, and Lee Isaac Chung did that film Minari, and also he directed The Convert in season 3 of The Mandalorian. And of course, Bryce is a known quantity now. She's done now 4 episodes of Star Wars television, so that's very cool. Yeah, they've taken a lot of inspiration from like the early Amblin productions, the Spielberg stuff, E.T., The Goonies. That's always been described as an inspiration for them. And some of the kids are played by Robbie Cavett Conyers, Kiriana Crater, and Robert Timothy Smith. We also think that one of the main villains of the show, based on what we saw in the trailer, could be Vane from The Mandalorian.
Oh, okay. It's interesting because I did, and what little research I could do, I found out that Jon Favreau said that the idea for Skeleton Crew existed for a long time before Disney Plus even existed. So it has been in the works for quite a while.
Interesting.
So
That
it may have changed. That seems to
yeah.
suggest that it may have
Yeah.
changed over time
Also, there are also
as these things
characters
often do.
played by Ryan Kira Armstrong, who I think might be one of the kids, though I'm not sure. Day Adebimpe and Carrie Condon, who you might know if any of you listening have seen The Banshees of Inisherin. She was in that. That's all the info we have about Skeleton Crew as of now. And of course, it's going to tie into the bigger story with Mando and Book of Boba Fett and Ahsoka. But that's all the information. That's everything I have for day one. Any closing thoughts before we get to stuff with day two? That was really the meat of it all.
No, I mean it was a monster day, and there's so much to be excited for. There really is.
Oh yeah, there's so much to be excited for, and this is, as Count Dooku would say, this is just the beginning. Here we go. Day two, we had our Ahsoka panel. Three major details, basically, that we need to, or four, I guess, because I saw another one. Of course, the thing Jacob wanted to mention, but I politely asked him to say for day two. Lars Mikkelsen transitions into live action as Grand Admiral Thrawn.
I mean, in some ways, it felt like a bit of a foregone conclusion or an open secret for quite a long time that this was who it was going to be. But it's very exciting. It's very exciting, I think,
I
nevertheless, to
am
get that
so
confirmation.
goddamn excited that they did it, that they are officially bringing Lars back. He seemed, I'm so like, because there were whispers that they weren't going to do it, that they had other ideas for people, but I'm so glad that they did it. I'm so glad that they're doing it. It took me a while to come around in season 3 to Thrawn's voice, but once I got it, and I can't hear Thrawn any other way or see Thrawn any other way. And I'm so excited. It's gonna be really, really, I think it's gonna be great. I think that's gonna make it great. Speaking of other things that will make it great, we got our composer for Ahsoka announced, Mr. Kevin Kiner. Kevin Kiner
Oh
is
yes.
composing the score for Ahsoka, making his first live action debut in Star Wars. He, of course, did the music for Clone Wars, Rebels, and The Bad Batch. And it, again, I think Dave said, like, it only felt right, and it really does. He originated Ahsoka's musical journey, and it's only right that he makes the jump with her into live action. And we got our director
And
list.
oh really?
We got our director list. The directors are, of course, Dave Filoni, Peter Ramsey, who did Into the Spider-Verse and also did The Pirate earlier this season of The Mandalorian, Rick Famuyiwa, who we all know, Steph Green, who directed Chapter 2 of the Book of Boba Fett, Getzinger, who directed episodes of a bunch of shows, like I think she had directed a few episodes of Mad Men. Oh, I forget exactly. She directed a few episodes of Mad Men, a few episodes of like Daredevil, I think it was. Yeah, some episodes of The Orange is the New Black, How to Get Away with Murder. Yeah,
Oh wow.
just a bunch of stuff. And Geeta Patel, who directed, among other things, an episode of House of the Dragon. And that's our director's list for that. Overall thoughts for the Ahsoka information.
I don't know. It seems like a winning combination on all
Yeah,
fronts. I
they're
can't wait.
firing on all
I really
cylinders, and
can't
I'm
wait.
excited about it. Next, we got one that Jacob and I are probably some of the least knowledgeable about because we're very behind on this stuff. But I thought this is very important because of its increased prominence and importance, not both in the Star Wars scene and in live action specifically, which is the High Republic. We have details about how
Oh
this thing's
yes.
going to end. The High Republic panel was yesterday. Obviously, we knew this. Phase 2 is closing up shop by this summer. It's going to be done by this summer. Phase 3 is officially going to start this fall due to they released phase 2 of the High Republic very quickly, and they decided to slow it down for phase 3. So phase 3 is going to begin this fall and going to wrap up spring of 2025.
They've just been moving through the High Republic so quickly. I mean,
Yeah.
how gosh, when did it even start? It feels like it
T
just
T
started.
THR started
I
it. Light of the Jedi was 2020.
yeah, I can hardly believe how fast
No, it wasn't. Sorry, that's
it's
a lie.
moved
It was
with talking about
2021. It was
phases and
2021. It was
you're
2021.
kidding.
It was 2020.
You're
It was very
kidding.
beginning of 2021. Light of the Jedi was January 2021. It's been 2 years.
So it's been 2 years and change. Wow.
2 years and 3 months, basically. Yeah. And
That's insane. How and in that time, how many novels will we've had?
well, are we talking about adult novels or just novels in general? Because I'm trying to think. I think novels, if we're counting
And
like
the comics and oh my god.
if we're counting like closing down to like if we're counting like already gotten through the wave 2 of phase 2, which we haven't completely yet, but if we are, then that would be, I think that would be 15 novels, 3 novels for each wave, three waves in phase 1, 2 waves in phase 2. So yeah,
That's insane.
it's
That's really
they've been cranking out this stuff, and they're creating a really interesting part of the universe. I have not read a lot of it, but I know of the kinds of stories they're making, and there's some really interesting stuff. And I would advise, again, I'm not saying that I'm the best authority of it. I'm not, clearly, because I haven't read most of it. But what I have read is really interesting, and they're diving into a really interesting part of the universe. They obviously expanded the roster of authors quite a bit for Phase 2 of the High Republic. They're doing it a little bit more for Phase 3. They're adding already quite established Star Wars writer Alyssa Wong, who's writing the current run of Dr. Aphra comics, to the author roster of Phase 3. Phase 3 is going to start 1 year after the events of The Fallen Star, which was the last adult novel of Phase 1, because Phase 2 went back in time.
oh yeah.
And so here we go. So there are 3 waves of Phase 3, like there were 3 waves of Phase 1. Wave 1 is going to be The Eye of Darkness. Each wave comes with an adult novel, middle grade novel, and YA novel, in addition to all the comics. But I'm just looking at the novels right now. So wave 1 is going to be adult in November 2023, The Eye of Darkness, George Mann. YA, Defy the Storm, Christina Ireland, Tessa Gratton in March 2024. And Escape from Valo, Daniel Jose Older, Alyssa Wong, middle grade, in December 2023. And then wave 2 is going to be the adult is Temptation of the Force, Tessa Gratton, and Beware the Nameless, which is a middle grade, Zoraida Cordova, in summer of 2024. And then Tears of the Nameless, which is the YA by George Mann, in fall of 2024. And then wave 3 is going to be Trials of the Jedi, adult. The adult novel is Trials of the Jedi, Charles Soule. YA is Into the Light, Claudia Gray, and A Valiant Vow, the middle grade by Justina Ireland, all releasing in spring of 2025. This is significant because Soule Gray Ireland is the combination of 3 who are writing the last adult YA and middle grade novels of the High Republic. They also wrote the first 3, so it's ending how it's beginning.
Poetic. And I guess that kind of begs the question, are there going to be more, capsules, or I guess they were calling it, an initiative?
Yeah, initiatives. Yeah.
Like this. Are there going to be more initiatives like this for Star Wars, where they push out a whole raft
I'm not sure
of content for one
I don't
specific
think
era
that
or
Soule
topic?
and people like him are going to be done with Star Wars anytime soon. And they also did say, this
Oh yeah.
segues very well into the next part of this, that although the public initiative may be concluding, we are far from done with the era as a whole. And as they said that, they brought out Leslie Headland. Leslie Headland, because her show takes place, obviously, she was talking about how much a fan she was of the Star Wars books and how excited she was to play in this era of Star Wars that had only been defined by literature. And then she revealed a detail that was not revealed at the Acolyte Studio Showcase. Rebecca Henderson, who's one of the actresses in The Acolyte, is going to be playing an older version of High Republic favorite Vernestra Rwoh. Vernestra Rwoh is a Jedi Knight at the time of Phase 1 of the High Republic. This is around, I think, 200 years later, so apparently Miri Ellen... No, not 200, I think 100 years later, so apparently Miri Ellens can live that long, because she's a Miri Ellen. But this is the first, established character that we know is going to be in the Acolyte, which is pretty crazy.
Yeah.
One last thing for day 2. Yesterday, Dave Filoni, along with Athena Portillo and not Henry Gilroy, was the Killian Plunkett, and as well as some of the actors, Matt Wood, Matt Lanter, James Arnold Taylor, Ashley Eckstein, D. Bradley Baker, all the classics, did a special panel commemorating 15 years of Star Wars: The Clone Wars.
All right.
It's been 15 years.
That's right up my alley.
At the end of the panel, Dave announced that there's going to be a second season for Tales of the Jedi.
Oh yeah, that's right. Oh, that's right. Yeah.
He did not announce anything more. He just said there's going to be a second season. We had so much fun doing the first one that we decided let's do a second one, and that's all the news for day 2.
Yeah, hard to complain about a second season of Tales of the Jedi.
Oh yeah, I'm so excited for more Tales of the Jedi. I think it's gonna be great. I remember texting one of my friends. I think it was I forget who it was exactly, but I'm like, imagine being Dave Filoni. That just because you liked doing a show, an animated show once, you're just like, fuck it, let's do it again. Like, just imagine like that basically Tales of the Jedi as a concept, both seasons. The reasoning behind creating them have been because I wanted to, because Dave wanted to.
Yeah.
Like, that's incredible. I love that so much. And then day 3, which is today, has been quite a low key day, but there's some highlights that I'll read for you, and that these are not going to take long at all. We got our final trailer for Jedi Survivor today, which is going to release in a few weeks. Not much to report except for one thing that I found interesting, and I'm surprised hasn't happened yet in a Star Wars video game. Cal is going to face a Rancor in the events of Jedi Survivor.
Haven't we confirmed that the Coruscant is going to be playable as well? That was part of it, right?
But I think that's been, we've known that for quite a while. We saw Coruscant, but I think we knew Coruscant was going to be in the game for quite a while. And so that's for Survivor. And then finally, the publishing panel was today. They did some High Republic stuff, but they did some non-High Republic stuff. The thing that I'm most excited about, they didn't do like any crazy announcements for non-High Republic stuff. Apparently, Rise of the Red Blade, which is that Inquisitor novel by Delilah Dawson, might have some connections to the High Republic. I saw that in something that Laura Kelly from Force Toast podcast tweeted. But from a certain point of view, Return of the Jedi, this was obviously announced a few weeks ago, and we have some details now. Kristen Baver's story, as you know, she's the host of This Week in Star Wars, and she does a lot for Lucasfilm. She's writing a story for Return of the Jedi from a certain point of view, and her story is going to be about Sice Noodles.
Oh, all right.
Adam Christopher, who you know I'm a huge fan of, he is I think he's the only person who's written stories for all 3 from a certain point of view. And of course, he wrote Shadow of the Sith as well, which you know how much, if you listen to the show, you know how much I love that book. He is, for Return of the Jedi, writing about one of the characters from Shadow of the Sith who is around in Return of the Jedi. Not maybe the one I hoped for, but he's writing about one of them. His story is going to be about Enric Pride.
Oh, all right.
Because of course, Pride served in the Empire.
Interesting.
And if you've read Shadow of the Sith, you know that Pride had a bit of a problem, a bit of an addiction to death sticks.
Yep.
And we know that, and Christopher confirmed that part of his short story is going to be dealing with Pride's addiction to death sticks.
That's gonna be very interesting
It's so strange. I love it so much. And then
interesting for Star Wars to delve into.
Yeah, and then they talked a lot about the Star Wars Timelines book, which is going to be like an out-of-universe reference book, which I'm very excited about. But they did announce a new in-universe reference book. You know those like Secrets of the Jedi, Secrets of the Sith, you know, that kind of stuff, like the Bounty Hunters books, Legends of the Bounty Hunters, the in-universe reference books that they've been doing.
You mean like the Bounty Hunter Guild, like those ones?
No. Those are, yeah. I'll show you, like Secrets. I think it's called Secrets of the Jedi or something like that.
Are you sure it's called the Jedi Path? Are you talking
no,
about
no. I'm not talking about the Jedi Path. I'm not. This is canon. This is
You're not talking about the handbooks.
I'm not talking about the handbooks. I'm talking about.
I'm pretty sure the Rebel handbook is canon, though.
It is, but I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about this.
I know the earlier ones are not. Okay.
They're in-universe reference books.
That's in.
Like they're written by the Jedi about it was like this is like written. This is like telling the events that led up to the sequel trilogy from Luke's POV, basically. They did one for the Sith, and I think they did another one for the Bounty Hunters. If I'm not incorrect.
Interesting.
They did one for the.
Interesting.
Yeah, here's the ones of the Bounty Hunters. Secrets of the Bounty Hunters. I'm not sure if this one's out yet, but yeah. Point still stands. They announced another one. They announced a 4th one that I thought you might be interested in. They're doing a 4th in-universe one. They did Secrets of the Jedi, Secrets of the Sith, Secrets of the Bounty Hunters. And now the 4th one, Secrets of the Wookiees.
No kidding.
I'm not joking. This is not a joke.
No, yes. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
That was officially announced.
That's unbelievable. You go Lucasfilm, you go Star Wars. That's what I'm
Yep.
talking about.
Secrets of the
That's
Wookiees. They're all written
this is
by
a
this guy Mark Sumerak, and I think he's written all of them. Actually, let me show you. Actually, here we go. Here's a screenshot of here's the picture of it. Here it is.
no way. No
Yep.
way. Oh, that's sick.
There,
To quote
I think
Stephen A.
that's
Smith.
Buryaga Agaburi from High Republic. I think that's Gunji. Wait, are those
Where's
the
that right
fucking
in the
Wookiees
top?
in the red clothes from the holiday special?
I was gonna say that
Oh
looks
my
awfully
god.
familiar.
And
Look, all I will say,
I think that's Tarful. That's obviously Chewie. And of course that's Chrysanthemum right there. Let's see, actually, it links to the 10 reveals from the Lucasfilm publishing panel. Let's see. So yeah, Timeline's the first one. 100 objects. Yeah, that's gonna be cool. Art, Return of the Jedi. High Republic character encyclopedia. That's gonna be cool as well. Secrets of the Wookiees.
Secrets of the
Yeah, that's really it
oh, the
from
Star Wars cookbook.
yeah,
That's cool.
a new Star Wars cookbook. But yeah,
Hmm.
those are all the major announcements we have from Celebration. We have a quite exciting few years of Star Wars ahead of us. Timelines for the films we don't know, but you know, obviously Ahsoka's next. It premieres August 2023. We don't know exactly the day, but August. Skeleton Crew will be it's still scheduled for 2023, so I think it will be fall, maybe early winter, December-ish. Acolyte probably will be early spring of 24, and then I expect Andor to occupy roughly the place it was in 2024, in the place it was in 2022, in 2024 for season 2, as well as Tales of the Jedi being in there somewhere, season 2, and as well as season 3 of the Bad Batch being in there somewhere. And I'm also decently sure, although this hasn't been talked about or announced yet, but I'm also decently sure about season 4 of The Mandalorian somewhere in there. So we've got a lot of, and that's not even to mention the films or the games or the comics or the books. We've got a great few years of Star Wars ahead of us. And I think unless you got anything else, Jacob, I think that's going to be it for this episode of Star Wars in a Galaxy.
Yeah, I'm super excited for everything that's coming up in the
Yeah.
next few years. To quote Stephen A. Smith, this is exactly what I've been waiting for, and I couldn't be happier with everything that's to come. I really couldn't.
100%. 100%. We hope you all, because this is coming out after this, we hope you all enjoyed the rematch. As of this recording, we're filming it tomorrow. We are so excited for it. I've had many meetings with people about the rematch, and I'm so excited. Thank you so much to everybody who's led Epic Confrontations to be what it has become. I could have never dreamed when I started it that it would get anywhere close to this, and I am beyond thrilled to be the exec producer of the rematch. We have some great stuff planned for that and beyond. We haven't talked a lot about EC plans beyond. I think Ryan's versus Jerry has been officially announced now, but we have plans for matches all throughout the summer and beyond too. And I can't wait to tell everybody more about that. But yeah, follow us on Twitter at In a Galaxy Pod, Instagram at Star Wars in a Galaxy. You can listen to us on Google Podcasts, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you're listening to podcasts. We will be there. If we're not, email us swinagalaxy@gmail.com, where you can also email us with questions or hot takes or trivia or whatever you want. Yeah, subscribe to our YouTube channel. That's where ECs will be posted, except for the Bombadcast one, which will originally be streamed on except for the rematch, which will be streamed on the Bombadcast channel, then edited and put up on the In a Galaxy channel. So by the time this is out, it'll probably be there. Done. Next week, we're going to be posting our return to the tier list format. Jacob and I recorded this a while ago. We were originally going to post it this week, but then the celebration stuff came up. We decided, let's do it. Let's do this stuff this week and then postpone. But I think that's it. Until next time, may the force be with you. Always.
Always.